the heart of Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, a country of about 90 million people, and home to one of the most exciting markets on the planet. Now, recently, Vietnam became the 150th member of the World Trade Organization, ushering in a new era of trade and investment. This is the new land of opportunity, and Vietnam Inc. is ready to roll. Make way for the road hog of Hanoi. Just 5 years ago, this show of wealth was hard to find in the Vietnamese capital. But today, Dao Trân Kun is one of the more high-profile millionaires around, his gleaming Hummer the first in the country. His fortune made from these artworks, all crafted in gemstones. Not quite my style, but they've been picked up by quite a few collectors, even by visiting APEC leaders. That summit late last year was further proof Vietnam is on the global stage. Its WTO membership in January and, with it, greater market liberalization has created a wave of optimism.
Dân tộc Việt Nam của chúng tôi rất là thông minh.
In the next 5 or 10 years, we will learn a lot from foreign companies and the outside world. The Vietnamese are an intelligent people, and thanks to that intelligence, we will learn rapidly.
It's boom time in Vietnam, and nowhere is it more visible and audible than on the country's streets. The economy is motoring along, growing at over 8% annually for the past decade, and all signs show it's a long way away from running out of gas. Now, I bummed a ride off of Quinn on her gorgeous white Vespa. Just 5 years ago, scooters and motorcycles like this were out of the reach of most middle-class Vietnamese, but today, they're everywhere. There are around 15 million registered motorbikes in the country, or roughly 1 for every 6 people. Once a nation riding on pedal power, the swarm of motorbikes is predicted to be gradually replaced by cars as middle-class wealth keeps rising. And to Ford, that's an attractive opportunity.
Vietnam is still a very, very small market from an industry standpoint. About 40 to 45,000 total units, which is a very small market. But the growth rate the possibilities are fantastic, given the population, the size relative to other ASEAN markets, and the number of vehicles per capita is very, very small.
Ford has been in Vietnam for a decade and is the biggest auto investor in the country with around $100 million in invested capital. Tucker admits that Vietnam used to be a tough sell to headquarters, but now he has his master's ear.
The big boss has been sold for probably the last 18 months. When we look to build engine plants and assembly plants, now Vietnam is considered in those business proposals. And as Vietnam continues to negotiate further trade agreements with their ASEAN neighbors, as an example, with AFTA, then Vietnam becomes even more viable as a trading and investment opportunity.
Also making a mark, Intel. The chipmaker has announced plans to invest over $1 billion to build an assembly and test facility in the south of the country. Elsewhere, it doesn't take much to see the influx of Western brands and companies. Everyone, it seems, wants a piece of the action. And what makes Vietnam so attractive? We'll ask this former advisor to the Prime Minister.
The reason is simple. There are so big potentials in Vietnam here, and the strongest potential are the Vietnamese peoples. There are 68% of the population, 84 million this year, have been born after 1975. They are well educated, trained, skillful, and hardworking.
At Hanoi's Foreign Trade University, this promising generation is tackling the tricky subject of mixing alcohol with business.
Maybe a second.
A murky area for these students, but some answers are much more clear-cut. How big is the opportunity in Vietnam?
Very, very big.
Very, very big.
Yes. Studying environment will be much better, and working environment will be much better. We can see a better futures.
Dream company. What company do you want to work for?
I dream to work in Unilever.
Unilever.
Yeah.
We are ambitious and we hope we can do everything. We don't mind whether we're working for a foreign company or like a state-owned company.
Why are there only 2 boys in this class?
That means women love money.
Oh, okay. So how did Aside from this ambitious group, Vietnam has other qualities working in its favor.
In terms of natural resources, the country is also incredibly rich. You know, it's the second leading rice exporting nation in the world, second in coffee, first in black pepper and a variety of other spices. It has a coastline as long as that of the western United States, dotted with deep water ports. So it's got a lot going for it.
Back on the streets, it's not all positive. Some of Vietnam's obstacles are quite apparent. Vietnam's rapid growth is pushing its post-war infrastructure towards breaking point. Roads are clogging up, and as car sales increase, these streets will quickly become an urban planning nightmare. On top of all this, the nation's ports are underdeveloped, and the government has the tough task of implementing new WTO legal frameworks.
One of the biggest challenges for all of us doing business in Vietnam is really the constantly changing legal and regulatory environment. The fact that, you know, in the last 2 years, pretty much every major law that affects doing business has been either substantially amended or completely reintroduced de novo.
The biggest challenge for the government is to change the public administration, to overcome the red tape, to overcome corruption, to reduce the cost in terms of time and money to make business in Vietnam. Also to encourage all sources of investment to improve infrastructure. As you see, Vietnam needs new highway, new train, new airport, new seaport, and it takes a lot of money.
Another challenge brewing post-WTO is competition. Dung Minh Nguyen Vu heads up Trung Nguyen, the biggest coffee company in the country, selling 5 million cups each day. After beating Nescafe to become the #1 instant coffee brand in Vietnam, he's now gearing up to take on the might of Starbucks in the ground coffee market.
We are more than prepared, and we are very excited about the competition and opportunities to come. So the strategy for us, in order to be ahead of Starbucks, is to develop a better philosophy than Starbucks. And I wish to share with you part of the philosophy concept that we are working on. The way we see coffee is it's the energy for the knowledge economy, the same way crude oil has been the energy for industry.
Fuel for a journey unknown. It's been just over 30 years since the end of the war, and though the statues of communism stand tall, Vietnam is well down the capitalist road. Armed with a young workforce and a wealth of resources, it's an attractive coupling that makes it hard to imagine anything other than a bright tomorrow.